ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my impact. Yeah, I know it's roughly 4 days old. I'm actually doing it on Sunday, and by the time hopefully I can upload it on a Monday. I know it's pretty late, but I'll say this, that I didn't expect the Ultimate Warrior's death to upset me as much as it did. I could have just basically skipped this impact, but there was so much on here that had to be spoken about. I just couldn't skip it. If you guys know me, I love wrestling, but I came onto this with depression. I mean, I've done my videos clearly stating I still get depression. Even though most of my life has gotten a lot better, I still suffer from it to a certain degree. So it's going to be points where things are late. But it doesn't mean you won't eventually get some, hopefully, decent quality video reviews. So let's move on to this impact. Was this a good impact? It was not bad, but I do have a gripe about it. I'm going to give it to you like this. Impact and TNA in general care more about ratings than they do about pay-per-view buys. If they cared about pay-per-view buys, they would have done a lot better last year in 2013 structuring the show. They didn't. So this year, it's not going to be much different. They care more about their shares and their ratings than they do about their pay-per-view, because, let's be honest, the ending of the show should have been on the pay-per-view. Didn't need to be done now. But let's see what we got in the show right now. The 10-man gauntlet match. I'll say this. Bobby Lashley looked okay. See, the people still like Bully Ray. I would have liked Sonata to have been one of the last 5 in the ring. He got thrown out much earlier than that. I don't think that was the right thing to do. I feel like they're going to bury the X Division again. It wasn't too bad seeing Storm and Robert Roode working together. The only thing that was missing was just the beer money thing. And I got something to say about that at the parts of this review. But in the end, the last 2 people standing was Eric Young and The Abyss. Now, I said how I felt about Eric Young, and I'll complete that later in this review. But in the end, Eric Young won. But instead of waiting until Sacrifice, he made the request to MVP, who came out, that he wanted his match tonight. You could say that was ballsy, or that was a bad move. But this is what we got. I'm not too fond of the ending of it with that request, but it is what it is. Next, a #1 contenders match for the knockouts, similar to what the guys had. It's just pinfall and submission. I'm okay with that. I knew Angelina Love was going to win. There was no way they're going to let her come back without her going after the title at least once within the next 6 months of her arriving. I'm sure people are going to say Brittany should have been allowed to get the #1 contendership so she can go up against Madison Rayne. You could say that if there was more time towards them having confliction between each other. It's too soon. And anyway, I don't think they really believed that Brittany was ready. Another reason why is that there's not enough women for Brittany to work with. I'm hoping in the next 6 months they'll hire another 4 women into the Knockouts division. Do I believe that? No. But I'm hoping that at least 4 women more will come into the Knockouts. You see, I'm botching because they're going to rush this with Brittany. They may just throw it on her or not do anything with her. I'm worried about her, but I'm hoping she'll do well. Next, it is the Wolves versus Bromance in a half. Zema Ion with Jesse, dealing with the Wolves. This is my problem here. The Wolves are a good team. They need a good team to go up against, and they're not showing much of the Bromance as it is. And on top of that, Bromance sucks. So when it comes down to it, we need beer money back, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta say it like this. We need James Storm and we need Robert Roode to come back into the fold of the tag team division and go after those titles just one more time. I want to see some beer money in the ring. I don't care if they're heels. In fact, they look very good in the ring as they were heels. Do I believe that's going to happen? It's going to depend on how much the people are going to want this. And then on top of that, how much airtime the Wolves are going to have. If they win those belts, because they didn't win it in this match, they got DQ'd, the question is going to be, how long are they going to stay off television? They were brought on strong, but we barely see them. We'll see them in the back most of the time. What a waste. Now, MVP and I was very interested in seeing what was going to happen with MVP with Kenny King, baby. But no Kenny King. What do we get? MVP with the vac. No. You see, I'm botching because the wrath of Dixie was not that great. I'm sorry. She's been off television for a month and she looks really sloppy. She was sloppy with MVP and she was sloppy with Bully Ray. And when it comes to the Bully Ray segment with her, I'll say this about Bully Ray. Guys know I'd rather have Bully Ray go away for about 2 months and come back. I know people can say they couldn't do that. He was under contract. They weren't going to do it. I know. But when you see this segment with Bully Ray, even though the crowd has basically forgiven him because of his ECW background, because he loves to do tables, and because he was part of the Dudleys, they generally have forgiven him for what he did in that 2-year piece of crap of Ace of Zane. But in the end, because of it, there's nothing there for me. Dixie looked very, very sloppy. And when she smacked the shit out of him, it just basically shows me they really had no idea what they're doing here. Look, he didn't get fined $50,000 or $100,000 for basically taking her money during lockdown. He didn't get fired. He hasn't been suspended. He got a little smack in the face and she says simply, "Don't you disrespect me." And who comes out? Robert Roode beats him up, tries to put him through a table, and it doesn't happen. The crowd may have some interest, but in the end, and particularly they cut it off while she was in the threat of being put through a table and the crowd wanted her to go through a table. We get the cut in the back with her and Magnus. This just doesn't give me any interest. They're going to probably make this last all the way into lockdown. Counting off, they're going to do a end of a career match. That would be the only way this would be interesting to me. One of them loses their career. One of them goes away. Or gets banned from TNA permanently. That's the only way I'm going to be interested in this feud because there's nothing there. Finally. Oh wait, Willow. Willow's going to be facing EC3 and Rockstar Spud. I'm interested in watching it. Because as much as people may not care about Willow, I'll say this. Willow, when it comes to Willow, at least Jeff Hardy, even if he's doing a terrible job in this, he's actually giving the best performance he can. He's not great as an actor, I'm sorry, he just isn't. Jeff Hardy's better as Jeff Hardy. But being Willow, with the umbrella and the mask, he is doing as best as possible to act like the Phantom of the Opera mixed with, I don't know who, the Joker? Something like that. At least you're saying he's trying very hard to get people to be interested in him. So I'll take it for what it is. At least he's doing his best to be as interesting as possibly can. And he's not in the world title scene, which makes it even better. And that leads me into the final match, which you see in the title below. Magnus versus Eli. I said this already. Eli is a Santino done right. The crowd has always loved Eric Young, no matter how stupid his character has been. Working as an idiot who is with a gay guy in Orlando, Jordan. Working in extreme bass fishing. Being chased around trying to keep the television title, not a television title. It didn't make a difference. Everyone has always loved Eli. But when it came down to it, it was time to let Eli finally shine. He's gone after every title. This is the only one never had. And just like Santino, who was given a chance in a 2011 Elimination Chamber, or 2012, I can't remember which one. You guys can tell me below. But he had his chance to become World Heavyweight Champion. He did. They didn't pull the trigger on him, but he came close enough that the crowd really wanted it. Now, of course, when it comes to Eric Young, he didn't get as much pops as Santino. He's not as great as Santino, particularly that they had the Orlando, Florida crowd. The crowd is not that large. So you're not going to get that rising woo like that. You're just not going to get it. Even if everyone cheered in there, it just doesn't feel the same. But still, there was enough people in that crowd that cheered when he got it. They wanted him to have it. And the match wasn't that bad. But in the end, your new TNA World Heavyweight Champion is Eric Young. A TNA original who's been around for 10 years. Who's given so much and has never had the chance to be champion. Instead of having an old WWE guy, an old ECW guy, an old WCW guy, you got an original TNA wrestler. And this is something we rarely get. I mean, Magnus was great. Let's be honest. Even though they made him into a paper champion and they didn't want to pull the trigger on him getting over on AJ Styles. Because they built AJ way too much for Magnus to get over. Even though he should have gone over no matter if AJ was a monster. I've read some of the comments that people say it doesn't make a difference. It makes things look bad. Even if AJ is better to go over, you don't leave the guy that you put the championship belt on hanging like they did with Magnus. But with Eli, it's different. Eli went up in a different direction. He's been there a long time. He's earned this championship. If it wasn't for Samoa Joe, I'm glad that it's Eli. And it makes me happy to see that. So I'm upset that Eli didn't get a pay-per-view quality match that he deserved. But TNA does go by ratings. And I'm sure the ratings went up because of it. So I'm happy in that respect. So I hope you enjoyed this Zane's view. Please give me a comment below. And like I said, I got upset. I just could not bring myself to doing an Impact review until I felt right. I'll be doing my debate of the week on a couple of things in WWE and in TNA. Look out for it. Peace!